Good afternoon. Welcome to the Fabrication Facility opening event. Today, we have with us Honorable Ambassador of Germany and also Honorable Ambassador of Israel to Finland. Your Excellencies, thank you for gracing this occasion today, and thank you for being with us. And today, we also have with us friends, partners, and also part of IQM family members. And there are several others who are joining us online today. So once again, thank you all for joining us on behalf of IQM. This hybrid event with in-person physical as well as with an online event is a reminder of the times that we are in. The pandemic is on the way out, but it is still with us. And this event is also something that is a reminder that we are getting back to normalcy. If someone has been directly affected, we know some of them who have, so we do send our thoughts and prayers on behalf of IQM. But still, thank you again for joining us today. This facility is also a symbol of resilience and the future, because this facility has been concepted during the pandemic and has also been executed during the pandemic. On behalf of everyone at IQM, I also want to congratulate our IQM employees and the teams. Please give them a big round of applause for pulling this together. Today, we have put together a light agenda, but something which is very important. We want to share the journey of IQM and how we have progressed over the last 2 years. As a growth startup, where are we today and where are we aiming for the future? Followed by, we will also discuss about European quantum program and then also quantum leadership. How does Europe take quantum leadership and what does this mean for global leadership in quantum? And then we'll also have a beautiful panel discussion where we will discuss about the future of manufacturing and also about quantum. With that, let's start the official program, and I'd like to welcome on stage our CEO and co-founder, Jan Goetz.
Yes, thanks, Raghu. Thanks, everyone, for coming here, for putting this great facility together. It's really amazing. I still remember our last event like this was also our first event like this, when we got the seed investment, which was in summer 2019. And back then, we were in different offices, and we had a small reception at the offices, and then we went to the Micronova fabrication facilities, and there were tours. And I think this was, I was not participating, but I think there was a situation where Axel, our chairman, and Kuan, our CTO, I don't know where he is, back there, were sitting on a bench because they didn't want to look inside the clean room. They knew all of this already. And I think Axel asked Kuan, like, what do you need to make this a real success? And Kuan said, well, we need a clean room. And I think Axel's answer was, okay, then let's do it. And I think this is something that is a little bit the spirit of the company. Like, we have these big ideas, and then they don't stay dreams, but we just do it. I don't know how it's happening, but somehow it is happening, and I think all of you, you're making this a reality, either by putting your everyday work, hard work into it, or maybe giving us financial support, or any other type of support. I think there are many great advisors also for the company who help us making this really a success story, and this is great. So thank to all of you for being here, but also for the constant support. So what we see here is a fabrication facility. For those of you who were there in the beginning of the day and had the tour, so this is where these chips are being fabricated and in tools inside a clean room, because we don't want to have any contamination. And this is, of course, very, very important, because this is, in a sense, the brain of the quantum computer. This is where the magic happens. And in this sense, also for us, this is a very, very important project. If you look in this direction, you see the outer side of the clean room, and where we are standing here, of course, there is right now not a clean room, but also we already yet now have plans on maybe how to make this an even bigger space at some point. And if you came and approached the building, you saw that this is a quite big building, so maybe you can imagine also where this might go in the future. But anyways, having said this, of course, this doesn't happen just overnight, but there's a story behind all of this. And this story is what I want to tell you today. which is not an easy part because I haven't been part of a big portion of the story, but there were these days in the very beginning when the company didn't exist yet, and back then the main driver was Mikko, one of our founders, and then at some point Juha joined as well. I don't know where he is over there, and they will be part of the story, especially in the early days. So I have now the honor to tell what were the ideas back then, and then how we have grown this idea to what you see here today and what you have seen already in the morning. And as you might know, we have here our headquarters in Finland, but then we have also a team in Munich, which is working there, and there will be great news coming out of Munich in near future, so keep your social media account active and check the news. I think next week there might be some news on this, and we are looking forward to this. And we are also looking in other places, so we are starting now with a small team in Bilbao as well, and we have some ideas on how to really make this a European effort. So how did we get there? This is not our offices. This is QCD Labs, Mikko's labs. This is where all the science has been created that was originally put into the company. So you see, it looks a little bit different. It's a university environment, and I think this is exactly what makes the difference. We need the scientific ideas, and we need many of them, and then some of them actually, they have the potential to become industry at some point. So it's very important to have these places. We call them IQM Nest, and I hope that there will be more of these nests maybe for other technologies in the future. And this is also for us as a company very important to keep these good relationships. So I think we have some representatives from Aalto here today, and we have some other universities we are collaborating with. And this is very important for us to, of course, still have these great scientific ideas that come out of your lab, Mikko, but then also to have the people which are educated there. And this is very, very important because especially in the quantum space, there are so few of them, and we are happy to have all of you here because you're really adding the value to the company, and without you, this wouldn't be possible. And many of IQM people come actually out of the IQM nest. Now we have also people coming from all other places around the world, but this is really where it all began. So you see there maybe this kind of black sign behind this door. There are Mikko's labs, and I think this was my first task for the company, to order this piece. And I don't know if Roope is here today, but he was the person who was gluing it. And in the beginning, I think it dropped and it was a drama. But anyways, it's a different story. So this is where it all started, and we hope that this QCD Lab story also continues, and we hope to create a lot of synergies to make both a success story, QCD Labs and IQM. But then, if you want to build something out of the university, what do you need? Well, you need some kind of a business plan, and it's important to showcase that this is not just a crazy scientific idea, but there is a plan behind it, and there is value being generated. And of course, these plans, somehow they need to be triggered, and in our case, it was actually Risto Siilasmaa, the former chairman of Nokia, who, in a sense, triggered this. So he was visiting Mikko. If you look at the date, I think it was between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2017. I guess this was the plan that was created. And if you don't understand the math, because you're not a physics professor, the math is very simple. The range, so the task was to estimate how much money do we need in the beginning. This was the task. And the math was, okay, we need something between 8 and 50 million, so let's take the average, which is 11.7, and what we raised in the first round was 11.45. And this was super precise. I mean, it's amazing, like what you can do on a piece of paper, and how precise this still can be. And I think this is something that still is the case. So the plans that we make, and I think this is what makes us strong, we kind of fulfill these plans and we deliver, and this is very important, that we don't make just crazy announcements or crazy promises, but we are very realistic, and then we execute, and we just build the clean room and do it. All right, so we had a plan, or back then Mikko had a plan, but then what else do you need? Well, you need someone to pay the bill, right? The money doesn't lie on the street, and then there are people in the world who have money, and they want to distribute the money, but you need to get to know these people. Usually as a scientist, you don't know these people so much. So there was another visit from Ilyas Khan. He's the CEO of Cambridge Quantum. He was visiting there. This was another duty of mine was to put this Christmas hat there. It was also during Christmas time. And Mikko and Ilyas were talking, and Ilyas was super excited about what he saw. And then Ilyas had set up this post, Twitter post. And then this post, at least for his standards, got viral. And he wrote this, that my LinkedIn post has gone viral. And there's a lot of money, just do it. Go and grab it. And then Mikko decided to give it a try. And this is how the whole thing began. And it's really great because it shows that you don't only need scientists, or you don't only need money, or only ideas, but you need all of this together. And of course, what you also in the end need is a team, because obviously Mikko cannot do it alone. I mean, we are all here and now doing this together. So how to get a team? Mikko got a team in the very beginning. It was Mikko and Juha. He was standing back there. And they created another plan, which is already more detailed. So you see it here. It's much more detailed. You see here, for example, TSV vias. Guess what we are doing over there? We are building TSV vias. So these are the plans from the very early days. And it's amazing to see that they're still realizing. Of course, nowadays, we have fancy slides and we tell how great all of this is. But in the beginning, it all fits on one piece of paper. You see, for example, 2 paths, things that are very important that we are now doing, for example, with our friends from VTT. And all of this ecosystem, I think, is very important to do this. So this plan was made in Hoplop. What is Hoplop? Anyone knows what Hoplop is? Some people know, maybe the Finnish people know. This is Hoplop. So I don't know what you did there, but it's a place, I think, where you can experience a crazy journey. And maybe this was also a sign, right? We are experiencing a crazy journey. So you made these plans in Hoplop, and now we are all in our own Hoplop world, right? So we are jumping around, doing crazy stuff, and maybe at the end something comes out. But this is where the plan was made. And I think it also shows another thing, that we need creativity. Sometimes we need to be crazy. Of course, then we need to be structured in executing the plans. But sometimes we need also this environment, open environment. And we have been discussing this a lot with Johannes, who is somewhere here, who's helping us a lot with these plans. He's over there. The crazy thing with the clean room is that on the one hand side, we need this creativity, this openness. We need to jump around and Hoplop. But then on the other side, what we do in the clean room is very structured working, following the processes in a very precise way. And bringing those two worlds together, this is a challenge. And I think this is something that we have to do in IQM. But I'm very confident that we will be able to manage this challenge. All right, so we had a plan. Then we needed the money. And so for money, you need a pitch deck and pitch it to investors. So this is the kind of people slide from our first pitch. And if you notice from this slide, it has a black background. And I was taking this slide to pitch, and Ilyas' team was helping us setting up meetings with investors. And there were some investors in Munich, so we thought, okay, it's a good idea to go and pitch in Munich. And back then, actually, with Mikko and some other folks from VTT, we had a meeting for this QMix project, which is a European flagship project in Munich, which is nice, and we discussed science. But actually, not all of us discussed science, because there's one person in this picture. Oh, shit. Keep on pressing the wrong button. This person was actually not discussing the science, but I was sneaking out, and I was meeting Axel at the offices, MIG office downtown. And we had a good discussion. I think the comment was, there's great potential, but the pitch deck sucks. So come back when you pitch with a better pitch deck. And one criticism was the black background. So the task was to redo the pitch deck with a white background. And this is what we did. We came back a few weeks later with a white pitch deck. We pitched to the MIG partners and Herbert, who is also somewhere here. I don't know, where are you? There. And we had the white pitch deck, or the pitch deck with a white background. And it convinced Mick and Herbert that this is a good story to invest in. And then we also, of course, back then we already had great investors who are from Finland, so Tessie and Open Ocean and Maki, and they said, okay, as soon as you get investors from, let's say, Central Europe or US, then this is the case. And so we went back to Finland and said, okay, now we have Mick and Vito, it was back then, and we said, we have them, so let's do it. And then they said, okay, let's do it. And we placed the investment. And this was in summer 2019. And this is the event I was talking about. So this was the kickoff event, the very first one and also the last one where we were celebrating in our old offices. Back then, the cryostat, they were actually standing inside the office because we didn't have a lab space. So one story also about this execution, I think what we're also doing is we try always to execute fast. And another nice example is our good friendship with Blue Force. So actually this kickoff event, it happened in August, which was very short after the money arrived in July, but we already had the cryostats because we were able to work together so closely that we made a deal to get them. And this kind of fast execution, I think this is something that we need, especially on the global competitive landscape. And this is what we have been continuing since then, have been growing the company fast. There was an event, a company event, a few weeks ago. This was the first time the whole company came together because, as you know, we had the pandemic, so we were building the company during the Corona times, which is not easy. It's doable, we found out. So what you see here is that we like to be together, come together, we like to collaborate. It's one of our company values, and this is how we work. At this event, we were actually building a prototype of a quantum computer. You see it here. It starts here. It's like a machine, and we managed to get one clock cycle, and then it collapsed. But anyways, in the future, we will have many more clock cycles. So it's really great. You also see we already have the future of quantum with us, and this is how we operate. Of course, people is one thing, but then these people have ideas, right? And what do you do with these ideas? Well, you innovate. And this is, I think, also very important to mention, and this is something that we need. I don't want to go into the details of these numbers, but basically it tells that since the very beginning we innovate, and then, of course, we protect the IP, and this is how we create value, and of course, hopefully then in some point we are able to also reinvest this value and really drive an ecosystem around this. So this is very important, and this brings us back to the fabrication facilities. A lot of the innovation is actually happening there, and this is why it's also so important to have these facilities. And we innovate, but then we also commercialize. So a big milestone of the company was to make our first deal. And this is what was announced there on the right-hand side, together with VTT, building the quantum computer in this Finnish quantum computer project. This was the first big step, and I'm quite confident that very soon there will be other steps like this coming up, maybe in Germany, who knows. So what do? We innovate, but then we use this innovation also to accelerate our business. And for those of you who have seen in the morning the tours, this is a little bit a summary of it. So kind of what are we working on strategically? So we designed the chipsets. You can see some of them placed over there. And there's a lot of IP generated there in the designs and the way they work. And we also built the software tools around this to do this. So really creating also the enabling technologies for this. Then we produce what we have designed, and this is what is happening here. This is where the hardware is generated, and this is very, very important to have this at the core of our business and own this process, really. Then we integrate these systems. You see one system in the back, and there is the electronics that you have seen maybe in the lab, and the software stack, and all of this. And acting as a system integrator, this is something that makes us strong, and this makes us also very unique in Europe. And this is how we really can then also bring the value to the customers. And then we again innovate on the way how we build the quantum computers, and we have created a strategy around co-designing, where we really try to give the processors a purpose to solve certain problems in the most efficient way. And this means we basically create value throughout the whole stack, throughout the whole system, and we are able to accelerate the feedback loops, and in this way move faster and faster as we speak. So this is the idea behind building such kind of infrastructure, such kind of labs. And then, of course, bringing them out. So we have seen the announcement with VTT. So this is the idea that we really go out, sell them as on-premise systems to the HPC centers. So you see some of the systems back there. For those of you who haven't seen them in the lab, or for those of you who have never been inside a quantum computer, this is now really the unique chance for you to see how it is looking inside a quantum computer. Not many people have been there, inside a cable, for example. We will be able to do this now here in a few seconds. So it's my great honor also to announce now that we see the global premiere of the quantum video.
Thank you, Jan. All right. So who would have thought that Finland will have one more reason and one more good reason to start startups? It is Hoplop. So go plan your business cases in Hoplop, change the background from black to white, and then you're sorted. But then on a serious note, this is a startup which has been there for 2 years, and in just over 2 years, this is where we have accomplished, and it has big ambitions. But ambitions comes with even greater purpose. And this is where it's my honor to invite our chairman of the board and also a venture partner with MIG Funds, Dr. Axel Thierauf.
Thank you, Raghu. First of all, let me thank you, the team, which did really an amazing job. I mean, in my daily business, I'm a venture guy for meanwhile more than 15 years, and it's really very early to see a company evolving in plan in that time. That's really amazing, and Kuan and team, you did really an amazing job here to build it Fenry. So the applause is to you. Now I have to go that way, right? Yeah. All right. Yeah, Raghu asked me to, is it forward or backward? Do you want it forward? Forward. Good. Here we go. Raghu asked me, as a representative of venture capital, to play the European card here. You know, this is the first time I step in on behalf of the government. But to be honest, I mean, this is really, we are on the edge here in Europe. We have to decide where to go. Either we step back in the past, or we stick in the past, or we go forward. We have talents here like the US guys. We have talents here which are exported to the world. We have money enough in Europe, but what is lacking is the cooperation to build big companies. That's really very, very important. And I'm really glad and happy that Thierry Breton and Ursula von der Leyen realized that while we worked here on our own. And meanwhile, it's for the Commission clear that the efforts towards sovereignty is clearly our own responsibility. So the Commission decided to build chip factories. Okay, today is clear why. We have a lack of chips a lot, but looking to the quantum space, and that's something what especially Thierry Breton understands a lot as former CEO of Atos, that's really something we completely would rely on the US tech giants if we don't do it by ourselves. And IQM, and that's my deep impression, is a chance to build here a global champion. Due to different reasons, we have here a niche where we can go on, and we have the support of the Commission, and there are some sites here from Thierry. Quantum computing will change almost all industry. That will happen in 10 years. For a VC, it's now. I mean, look back to the story of Microsoft. This is the Microsoft time for the quantum computing. And those who are in will be in, and those who are out will not catch up to them. That's pretty clear. And I'm really very happy that the authorities, that the governments realize that. And what we do see now is quantum readiness. We call it, Raghu said it's quantum readiness. I would say quantum computing is happening now. It is not a choice. It will come. But we should play a major role. We means the Europeans, and by heart, I guess everybody of you is thinking in the same direction. We are Europeans, and we should work as a European. One signal here, which is really for a startup scenery, and we will have after that a small audience on the topic deep tech investors, is that the governments now realize that if we are developing disruptive technologies, the first customers are normally the governments. That is the key why in US these tech giants grow so fast. Their first clients are DARPA, are the military, so that is the one who buy products, even is not ready for market. And that is missing in Europe. But now the European governments, and I can speak for Germany, but also others, what you see here is there are huge programs now coming up supporting that field, and that will help for sure. And we know, of course, more as we can say today, but IQM will consider it deeply in the next coming weeks, and we will have a lot of great news in the upcoming weeks on that IQM is now stepping into market much earlier than everybody expected 2 years ago when we invested the first time. The first time, the decision in MIG, my partners asked me, hey, Axel, when will IQM make the first revenue? Everybody is laughing and say, okay, in 10 years from now. And I said, okay, 10 years, so who cares? 10 years is 10 years, but then we will have a great industry. Now the company is 2.5 years old, and we have the first revenues already, and we are facing big orders now. So the things happening sometimes much faster, but it is a team effort. So everybody, not only the technicians here, not only the people from the financial industry, but also the government must support this. And we really appreciate the effort from the EIC. 2 representatives are here. Kinga will come to the stage later on. That is something which really helps the economy, the startup ecosystem a lot. If you like, Raghu can explain your numbers. It's too difficult to explain everything because there are so much programs meanwhile. This picture is great. Ursula von der Leyen visited IQM some weeks ago. But it shows clearly the problem. Antti is here? Is Antti here? Okay. Antti is the CEO of VTT. He explained Ursula von der Leyen the machine, and okay, that is what we should do now. We must educate the people because Ursula von der Leyen is not a physicist. So where's she looking on? She's looking on the top. You know, the quantum processors at the bottom. So you see, there's a need. It's very important. There's a need to educate the physicists must educate those who's working in the field. That is software engineers, there are technicians. This is a complete new technology platform, and even the language is different. So that's something, this is a job for IQM, but also for the universities in Europe to educate not only physicists, but the complete industry value chain, that these kind of computers are completely different, needs new algorithm, new software, no hardware. And the first step is here, and today is the building of the clean room. And again, congrats, you did really a great job. Thank you.
All right. So moving on, we have put together a short panel to discuss on the future of deep tech startups, and also what's the future of manufacturing. And here we wanted to bring back guests who are involved in this day-to-day and who have also shared this journey of growth and also of manufacturing growth and startup growth. So we have brought together two fantastic panelists. So let me first introduce Kinga Stanislawska, so who has over 20 years of experience in venture capital and investing, and importantly is also founder of Experior VC, founder of European Women in VC, and is also an investment committee member at EIC Fund. Kinga is also listed among the top 50 women in tech Europe by Forbes. So you'll join me in giving a warm welcome to Kinga. Stanislawska. Thank you, Kinga. Joining Kinga on stage will be Sierk, who's COO of BioNTech, but has many years of experience working in setting up industries and also companies around in manufacturing facilities. What better example in today's time than having BioNTech on stage? And Sierk also has experience from Novartis and many other years of experience in leadership and across functions in finance and also operations. Please join me in welcoming Sierk on stage. And can I also have Jan back on stage, please? So, Axel's presentation was a very good segue to saying on European investments. So let me start with that topic itself. So to Kinga, maybe the first question would be on what are the tech focus areas for Europe, and how do you prioritize manufacturing in them?
Thanks a lot for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here today. Under the new European Innovation Council, which is a 10 billion euro program, there are a few very important areas like the European Green Deal, obviously. There is the medical and the healthcare space. There is also new material science, advancements across nanomaterials, and there is quantum. And I think the strong belief is that quantum can change and accelerate many of those other fields that actually are at the heart and the focus of Europe. So what we are hoping very, very much to do, supporting the European Innovation Council, which is what myself and Nicholas, who's here with me, are doing, is we want to see Europe excel at these technologies. We want to spend not just money is important, but we want to collaborate, we want to invest our time and the time of our colleagues to make sure that Europe remains at the forefront of discovery, at the forefront of innovation, and at the forefront of value creation for all of us.
Thank you. So maybe the next question for Sierk. So Sierk, you have seen the journey of IQM, just heard about it, and you have also followed some of our updates. So what has your learnings been from your BioNTech journey? And what would be the lessons that we can take to get the leadership position in Europe and for the world in a new technology like quantum?
Yeah, thank you. That's a very, very good question and a very good setting here to do this. I'm fascinated. Thank you so much for the invitation. And this is fascinating. So because I've been with BioNTech for 7 years now. When I joined the company, it was 300 people. We had like a budget of 20 million or so, and we had like a couple of very early clinical projects, and so it was very small. And we didn't start on Hoplop, but
relatively well.
So there is. I mean, one thing is we grew very fast, and this is something, this has the potential, yeah? This has the potential, and it's the same thinking. So when I talk to Juha and Kwan and Jan, actually, so this is the same spirit, and it's the same thinking of like, we have a technology, and I mean, it's not established yet, but let's do the vertical integration, and when you're talking about manufacturing here, we are opening manufacturing facility here. This is so important to not be in the very early stages of these new technologies to be dependent on, I mean, you need partners, but having a contract manufacturer that does something for you and has like a turnaround time of like month, and then they don't care about the quality and so on, it won't get you anywhere. So as BioNTech, we also, in 2009, 1 year after foundation, we actually bought a manufacturing facility already to get our technology up and running and have very fast innovation cycles and so on. And that's what you guys need here. And that's why I think it's so fantastic to have this facility here. So it's really great. The other thing is, which is a little bit different, biotech takes a long time. And I mean, it was not lucky that we had a pandemic, but we were in a good spot to prove our technology. Otherwise, it would have taken a little bit longer. In this case here, with like potential customers, like high computing powers, high computing centers and stuff like that, that's a little bit different because you can have customer feedback right away, which is fantastic actually. So I think being here, I'm very enthusiastic about what's happening here. So manufacturing and the computer stuff, and being a physicist myself, I love it. And I think there are so many potentials. And you can do this in Europe. You don't have to go to the US. You can do it here. So I'm really much looking forward to what's happening now in the next couple of, well, I guess weeks. No pressure.
Thank you, sir. So maybe the next question is for Jan. So Jan, we have announced and we have set the stage, but what exactly will be doing in this manufacturing facility, and also how will it help the quantum ecosystem in Europe and also globally?
Yeah, so what we are doing in the facilities is we are producing the chips for superconducting circuits. And for those of you who are familiar with the semiconductor space, you can really easily make the analogy. So we have these equipment, the tools, and we have silicon wafers. This is what we start with. And then we structure the circuits that we have, and we put some metal on it, which becomes superconducting at certain temperatures. And all of these processes, actually, you can do them with standard semiconductor manufacturing tools. And this is great for us because we can buy them from the standard suppliers. And I think we can also, in the future, learn quite a lot from the semiconductor industry. And this helps us, again, accelerating. So the way quantum has been working in the past was that mainly in university groups like Mikko's group or other groups around the world, they had access to some smaller clean rooms, and physicists mainly were punching around with the chemistry. And I think where we are now going into is really making this a professional process and get the learnings from the established semiconductor industry, bringing it into our processes. So I really looking forward to bringing these two worlds together, like the innovation that comes out of our scientist minds, bringing this together with a structured working, and then make a great product out of it. I think this is what we have to do.
Thank you, Jan. So in these times when we are discussing about apps and so on, so to segue on the manufacturing, if I go to Kinga, so the question would be on what are the competitive advantages that Europe has to set up these manufacturing bases, and how has this pandemic changed our view on manufacturing and also manufacturing investments in Europe? So maybe first you and then Sid can add on.
Well, I think the competitive advantage of Europe in terms of deep tech is clear on the stage. So maybe let's start with that. We can see it here. We are among people who are exactly doing this. And there are many, many great minds that can then commercialize their business. But Europe needs to invest more in deep tech. And deep tech is about taking knowledge, taking experience, taking science to a physical level. It's about mixing those bits and atoms. It's no longer a digital play. So we need to get physical. We need to have places like this clean room to be able to test things out. We need the manufacturing. And I think the pandemic has shown very clearly that we need to remain in technology sovereignty field, which means manufacturing sovereignty as well. We need to be able to meet the needs of the European consumers very, very quickly and at the highest quality and in the highest quality levels. And this is just one way that we can do that. We can do it better, we can do it quicker, and we can do it with new partners in an ecosystem. And I think this is exactly the kind of investment that is needed for us to remain at the top of innovation.
Yeah, and I can just second that, because you would think, coming from the pharmaceutical industry, pressing pills the world can do. But once you have a new technology that's not out there yet, you really need the deep connection to where the R&D, the research, the development is done, and actually to iterate for like quality products, actually. And then you have an advantage because you're the only one who can do this, actually. And that's why I fully agree. I mean, doing this in Europe, when we started the pandemic ramp up, so to say, with production, and we needed a big partner. We had Pfizer as an American partner. By accident was American partner. We needed a big partner, but we told them right away we have to produce in Europe, because we knew, I mean, something will happen and then the distribution of the vaccines doesn't work and somebody's sitting on it. So I like global supply chains, but you have to prepare for local production as well. I mean, here it's easy because you need to be close to the labs, but I think key technologies need to be local, and the local companies need access to that. I mean, we see this with Africa right now. They don't have production, they don't have vaccines. So this is something that we as BioNTech, we are trying to go to Africa now with smaller units, actually for local production. And this is, I think, this like innovative manufacturing mindset. With that, you can really go places. So, and the other thing, which is great in Europe, the talent is fantastic. Yeah, I mean, we never had problems. We built up clinical manufacturing in Mainz already, and we have lots of people, I mean, great engineers, great operators, and so on. So everybody's raving about this. When you mention like Europe or German engineering, so people, worldwide investors actually go for this. So it's a high quality environment in Europe here.
Thank you. It's very reassuring to, one, hear about the vision and also the way you're emphasizing on engineering talent and also the talent in general. And this gives us a confidence as a startup that Finland and Europe, and also if you look at it in terms of global leadership, we have an opportunity to take over all of them. And then maybe the next question will be for Jan. We have an industry here, also a representative for public institutions. So what does a startup actually, growth startup, require from them? How can they collaborate together? So what would your be ideal wish list for industry or a public institution?
Well, I think with the EIC, we have a great example because we are part of the accelerator program, and this is helping us a lot. And I think also there, you went a kind of a next step, not only giving the grants. Grants are nice, and they help us doing the R&D, but then also having this equity component, which can help trigger bigger investments elsewhere. So I think this is great. I think here the challenge is really always to find the kind of balance between how involved should the state or then the commission get and how much independence we have. But if we have fields like quantum where the timelines are long and you need a lot of money, I think such funding instruments can really help. So I think this is a great examples. And I think from, let's say, industry, I think one thing we can do is learn and kind of get the know-how into the companies, either by kind of getting the people really in, and we have been in cases where we were really lucky and got great people from corporates into IQM, and they bring in, of course, their know-how. They know how a company should be run, because if you think about the IQM story, when we started, all of the founders, they had not so much experience. I think Juha was the only one who was really working in a, let's say, normal job. I was a postdoc, Mikko a professor, and Kuan was just very shortly with Microsoft back then. So I think this kind of know-how was not there. And also then if you think on whom we have hired, it's mainly people directly out of the universities. So building a company, of course, is more than just bringing kind of technical know-how in, but you need the whole kind of package, you need the structure, you need the culture and all of this. And I think this is something where we can also learn then from industry. And I think for a startup, also there is a balance that you have. It's like you want to be a startup, you want to move fast and you want to be agile, but at some point you also need to look at how do the big companies operate and what kind of structures and processes can you maybe take from them.
All right, so maybe the last question for you both would be, before I let you go and enjoy the evening, what is it that your expectations from a quantum startup? How can we help you innovate and also develop in the future? It's still in an early stage, but then looking at this early stage technology, how can we support you to build this ecosystem together?
Yeah, I mean, so one thing is I like enjoy talking to the team because there's lots of stuff just for biotech. Let's not leave the quantum aside for a second. Biotech needs to be revolutionized as well. It's not so highly automated. It's cutting edge stuff, this synthetic biology, but it's not really automated. So this is automated, yeah? And that technology needs to move into biotech. So that's actually something, talking to the teams, interacting, this gives already like lots of ideas. On the quantum side, I mean, of course, I would like to have a quantum computer to solve the equation of like, I mean, anything we do, yeah, on the molecular level, synthetic biology and so on. I mean, we have like ways to iterate quicker and find molecules easier and so on. But I think quantum computing would be fantastic. So I'm waiting for that. I don't know how many bits we need for that, but we'll see. So I'm really looking forward to that. So there are many ideas.
At some point soon with our co-design approach.
No.
But King.
I'm thinking about two areas. I'm thinking about, first of all, educating young Europeans about the pluses, about the advancement across different sectors of what quantum can bring. And I think this is something that already IQM is starting, as explained today in some of the sessions around open source software for design and looking for other programs. So I think there will be a lot of positive cooperation with the learning with the universities, and I think this is something that can be brought from quantum, and particularly from IQM with the background that it has and the very experienced people that are here in this company. And the second area is the social development goals, the sustainable development goals, which are clear challenges for all of us. They're global challenges, and many of them, quantum can play a substantial role in solving better, faster, and really bringing us to carbon neutrality faster. So I think we would very much like to see and support the development of quantum very fast so that we can reach some of these other goals also faster with the help of this technology.
Thank you. So what, this is a...
Couldn't agree more, by the way. Yes, absolutely.
It's good to be on the panel
Yes,
together.
yeah.
This is a perfect ending for what we stand for as IQM. At IQM, the mission is that we build quantum computers for the well-being of humankind. And the topics that you have raised, sustainability, well-being, healthcare, these are things that are very close to each one of us here in this room. That's why we come to work every day and we strongly believe in. So with that, let me thank you, Kinga and Sierk, for joining this panel, sharing your thoughts, and we'll continue the discussion afterwards. Well, I'll want Jan to continue to stay here, but thank you.
Okay.
Very good, thank you.
All right. Now maybe I can also invite all the other co-founders to join Jan on stage, while Jan will do the closing remarks and then open up the party.
I don't know, they left already.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
A few more.
Only I get a drink. I don't know if this is a sign or... You already drank, okay. Well, yeah, as I said, it's a teamwork. We started as a founding team, now we are a much bigger team, and I think in the name of all of you, I can only say thank you for being here. I think it's a very diverse group who is here together, so use the opportunity to talk to each other, maybe enter some other worlds from, I don't know, the finance or from the public sector, and see what are the challenges and how we can solve them maybe together in the future. And in this sense, I think I would just give a big toast and a big thank you to the team, to everyone who has contributed to this great project, and let's make it a success. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, one more toast. All right, so to the quantum future. Cheers.